Good morning, everyone. Well, it's morning for me because I'm calling in today from Bali, Indonesia, from the village of Ubud and the Banjar of New Kuning. Seated here where Women's Earth Alliance has programs, and happy to be here with all of you today. This is the first time ever that we're offering from the U.S. Grassroots Accelerator Ripple Week. It's a series of free events. It's meant to inspire you, to mobilize you, to amplify the solutions that are rising from your communities around the world, ready to meet the moment on this planet. And my name is Amira Diamond. I'm one of the 3 co-directors at Women's Earth Alliance. And before I jump into introducing our guests, I want to share a little bit about our virtual space today. Here on Zoom, we have things set, so everyone is muted when you join the space. If you have any questions or comments, please be sure you're using the chat and let us know, because our team is monitoring that. So if you need any technical assistance, let us know in the chat box and we will reply to you directly. As I said, my name's Amira. I'm one of the co-directors here at WEA, for those of you just entering the space. And for many of you, welcome back. It's so good to see all of your faces. And for those of you who are new to WEA, we are a 16-year global initiative that trains and resources, catalyzes women's grassroots solutions and networks to protect our environment and build healthy, safe, and just communities now and into the future. And since 2006, Women's Earth Alliance has been working at the intersection of women's rights and the environment, creating programming that serves grassroots leaders around key environmental themes: climate change, water, agriculture, land protection, energy. And in partnership with both national and global organizations, WEA co-designs capacity building trainings where women leaders are accessing technology, financing, mentorship, and a global alliance. Our programs are in 26 countries around the world, and every day women leaders are linking arms and linking strategies to protect our Earth for future generations. I want to take a moment to acknowledge that while we have a global team and many of us are located around the world, our home base is located in what is currently known as Berkeley, California, in the Bay Area. But this land is also known as Huichin, the ancestral and unceded land of the Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone people. And I want to thank our Ohlone relatives for allowing us to call this place home. We recognize that we are on stolen land, and we as an organization and as community members have a responsibility to do all we can to be good guests of these lands and its original stewards. Land acknowledgements like this one are a first important step, but they must always be followed up with action. And in Huichin, we take action by naming the ongoing and normalized colonization of indigenous lands. We speak the original name of this land, and we collaborate with local leaders like Karina Gould, who is the spokesperson for the Confederated Villages of Lijan, Ohlone, who's actually a designer in the U.S. Grassroots Accelerator. And through our Shumi land tax, which supports our colleagues at the Segurite Land Trust as they do the important work of rematriating their lands. We do this because we envision a future that's not only thriving and sustainable, but just. And with that, I'd like to introduce today's speakers and topic. Today, we've got the rhythm of movement making, intersections in art, music, earth care, and activism, led by Nikila Badua, Coco Peila, and Jo Love Cruz. These 3 women are absolutely prolific, just bringing live every day new creations, new beauty, music, poetry, art to inspire our communities. So first up, I'll share Nikila Badua, Mama Wisdom. Born on the island of Oahu, Nikila is a self-taught, multidisciplinary artist, performer, and organizer. She's dedicated to creating positive social transformation through arts and cultural ecology for the past 25 years. Through a 7-year journey of homeschooling her son as a single mother and as a touring performance artist, as well as taking on the role of co-directing the Native Hawaiian Youth Arts Organization 808 Urban in 2010, Nikila began exploring arts and Indigenous ecology-based learning as a long-term solution toward educational reform. Through the Cultural Community Arts for Educational Reform Initiative, Nikila has been working on comprehensive curricula that places culture, community, and the arts as foundational to youth development, with a core focus on cultural celebration and competency, community building and ecology, and the arts for critical thinking and emotional development. The initiative places people over profit by instilling solid value systems within our youth as imperative to the future of humanity's collective liberation. Nikila. Coco Peila is a rap goddess, songwriter, and producer dipped in vocals, deeply engaged in activism, education, and liberation. She has worked with young people in the Bay Area for over 15 years, facilitating creative writing workshops, poetry, songwriting, and rap, and developing curriculum and programs. While most recently serving as the director of hip hop and climate justice at Youth Be Apocalypse, a youth-driven climate justice Oakland-based organization, she developed a cutting-edge hip hop and climate justice department, organizing framework and accompanying programming. And Love Cruz. Joe Love Speak Cruz was raised in and by the culturally rich Bay Area. Coupled with her strong familial, spiritual, and indigenous roots to the Philippines, where she was born, these worlds unite within her to cultivate a deeply rooted, unconditional love for the earth and all beings. Love Speak strives to support phenomenal world-class collective members to advance ideas from vision to form with mindfulness and positive impact. Audio Pharmacy Prescriptions is a Bay Area-based international art collective striving to invoke consciousness and empowerment and respect for life in creative endeavors around the world. Love Speak's role in the Audio Pharmacy Prescriptions, Love Speak Productions, and the community at large is to build bridges of collaboration and cross-cultural understanding among diverse communities to support artivists from an administrative perspective to better reach their creative, spiritual, and sustainability goals through their projects, and to organize and produce events rooted in respect, joy, and empowerment. I'm going to hand it over to Nikila to help us ground ourselves as we begin our time together, and just offer my huge gratitude to these three incredible leaders for their visionary work and loving ways. Nikila.
Okay, aloha everybody. Thank you, Amira, for the introductions. My name is Nikila Badua. I come from the island of Oahu in Hawaii. My family is from Ewa Beach and from Kauai. And I want to just begin by, taking 3 deep breaths together and just letting go of whatever you're doing, been doing for the day. Just let it go and ground into our bodies. Just coming into the present moment. I'm speaking to you from Tongva lands in Los Angeles area. Also Chumash territories are here. And I want to talk about our ancestors and just honoring our ancestors and I want to invite everyone to call in your ancestors and to honor, just connect with the land wherever you are, the ancestors of the land that you're on. Just honoring those ancestors of that land and all of the rich, beautiful history and the holding of space that is in the present moment for the tribes that exist wherever you are, and calling in our ancestors. And even though we're coming through a screen, I just want to picture that we are actually in a circle. And in this circle, it's calling in our ancestors to weave in between us and creating a protection, sacred container, enveloping us with the good blessings of our most beautiful and highest dreams and aspirations. And I want to talk to you today about our ancestors, the ancestral work that unites the work that Coco and Joe and I that we do as artists, and invite you to also think about maybe how your own ancestors carry you through the work that you're doing in the world. For me, I want to honor my ancestors from my homelands in Hawaii, and introduce you to some of our ways of what we call the three piko. The piko is like your belly button, your umbilical cord. It's where life begins. And in the three piko, we talk about the past, the present, and the future. And so the first piko we call piko po'o, which is at the top of your head. And this is where your spirit enters your body. It is where you are connected to your ancestors. And it's very important in our culture that we hold that spiritual connection strong to our ancestors. And for a baby, you have the soft spot. We put things on there like Hawaiian salt or things to clear this area of our being, to nourish that space, to stay connected with our ancestors. And the next we have is for the present, we have our na'au, our piko wa'ena. Our na'au is like our belly, our gut. They say that this is actually where our mind is. Our mind, and it's the container of our wisdom and our knowledge, our emotions, and it is how we feel. So this is where we come into the present. And then we have piko ma'i, which is like where the entrance to our bodies of where our reproductive organs are. That sacred entrance to our temples as women, or exiting as men. And that this is the place where we honor our future, our descendants that were birthed into the world. And so in our talk today, we're going to be honoring the past, the present, and the future. And for me, I want to just talk a little bit about, ancestral work. It's really at the core of everything that I do as an artist, whether it's, doing a mural. I bless the wall I before I begin. If I'm a guest in somebody else's land, I come and I research, and I try to touch in and understand the lands that I'm coming in as a guest. And as, and just in my own life, understanding my own protocols of my own cultures, and really trying to integrate that into the people that I work with, the communities that I work with, and have cultural exchange, which it really involves a lot of building of trust with, I work as also a graphic designer and a musician and as a muralist. And so in those ways, I feel like, a lot of what is bringing together these relationships with the people that invite me to work with them, it's about that trust. It's about the honoring, and about that understanding that ties, even though we might have different cultures and of indigenous ways, we understand that parallel of protocol and allyship. And so I want to invite Joe and Coco to share a little bit about how they work with their ancestors, because they had shared with me that that's also something that's very strong in their work. So Coco, if you'd like to share a little bit.
Thank you, Nikila. And that was such a lovely grounding, and I definitely needed it. So thank you for that. My my spiritual practice is rooted in, connection with ancestors and honoring ancestors. And so, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in a moment, but when addressing challenges, or when creating art in community with folks, we always start with the ancestors, those whose shoulders we stand on, and also just acknowledging that everyone that we collaborate with and come in contact with is not just like a physical manifestation, in their phenotype and their skin color, body shape and size and hair texture, but also that they're coming into the space with their ancestors and their ancestral wisdom. So my work with hip hop and social justice, oftentimes it starts with thinking about the people and or the land that we're in collaboration with, and then of course tapping in with my own ancestors, but how to honor and bring those voices and that wisdom into the space. And the last thing I'll say before I pass it to Joe is just about that also to stay in integrity in this world where we're often pushed out of integrity by the systems of oppression. My art practice and my practice of staying connected to my ancestors are kind of one and the same, in that I'm often looking to them and sitting with them and reflecting in order to reflect on how to move forward and how to address the issues. But I'll stop there and pass it to Joe.
Thank you, Coco, and thank you, Nikila, for that grounding as well. The way that I work with my ancestors, I would have to say that part of what's been really healing in my personal life and my family life and in my community is being able to really understand who I am and where I come from. When I know my history, I know who I am, and it helps to lead me to where I'm going. And so in my daily life, whether it's currently here in Portugal, Lisbon, Portugal, or back at home on Ohlone territory, it's really important for me to be able to take a moment in the day. It doesn't even matter when exactly, but take a moment in the day to be able to ground in and let them know that I am here and that I am open as a channel to receive what it is that they would like for me to be able to move with in my work and in my heart. And part of the reason why I do that is because I realize that we get so distracted by so many different pieces of information. And in my life, I've realized that my guides of love and light have been integral in keeping me in my integrity and in my walk in this world, doing, whether it's in music or as a mother to my children or as a daughter to my mother. It's been really important for me to remember the core values of my people. Specifically, one that comes to mind is the word kapwa, which is the self and the other. And we as Filipino people, when we are able to remember that we are not just walking in this body as individuals, but really with our ancestors behind us, it helps me to really gauge the way that I move in the world. And it's important. especially when it comes to taking care of the earth in relation to the work that we do creatively, it really like helps to know that like my ancestors are not like from this like modern world right now with all the computers and technology, but really of the land, you know, of the waters, of the moon, and to be able to remember how they prayed, how they connected with each other, how they fed each other, how they were able to live in harmony with the land is so important in this like hyper fast-paced world that we're living on. So that's how I channel my ancestors in my everyday life. And yeah, I just do my best to integrate that into my heart work. So for the question.
Thank you, Joe. You said a lot of what I meant to say. I will just close up this part by saying, that also, ancestrally, I honor my ancestors in everything that I do, and that we're at a time, and especially as Indigenous peoples, that like so many of us have been cut off from our ancestral traditions, and there's a reclamation going on right now, and so bringing that into my work really informs all of my work, really, and so just honoring our ancestral traditions in that way. And yeah, with that, I want to pass it on to Coco, who's going to bring us more into our topic on the present.
Thank you. It's not challenging, but it's like interesting to be a facilitator, co-facilitating this space with these powerful women, because partly I just want to soak up all of the game and all of the wisdom that they're sharing. But to bring us into the present, we collaborated and got to talk a lot and just like learn about one another. The three of us had never met and worked together as us three before this moment, like leading up to this moment. And it was such a pleasure to learn about the arts and social justice and cultural organizing and work that these women are doing and have been doing for decades. And so what I want to talk about with you all is about this present moment that we're in. Nikila did such a powerful and wonderful job of grounding us in our breath, in grounding us in this present moment. And go ahead and mute. Thank you. And just we're always, every breath and every moment, we're always moving here in the present moment. And we, how do I want to say this? We're living in a time where we're seeing, the ripple effects, no pun intended, of, thousands of years of a converging of the impacts and the symptoms of these systems of oppression, and we're seeing them just so, I wouldn't say stunningly, but just like so clearly, and we're feeling them. And our folks have been feeling them for hundreds and hundreds of years. But the thread that the three of us saw that connected us is that all of us use arts and artistic practice and cultural like organizing and work to address the different issues that we saw, like, and that we were experiencing and that our communities were experiencing. And so I'm going to talk just a little bit about my organization, Black Gold Movement, just briefly to share about how my practice and how I've used arts to address those issues and systems of oppression. And then we're going to get the treat of listening to Joe and Nikila talk about, their work. The other thing I wanted to say was, and I so appreciated, Nikila, what you shared about the reclaiming that's happening with ancestral practices and culture, and that, this time where many of us are disconnected. And I had written a little note down here to talk about being, a Black person, a person of the African diaspora who's, born here in the US. And so, many of us don't know exactly what tribes we're descended from, in West Africa or in Africa. Many of us don't know the different languages or the different rituals. Part of my family comes from the Caribbean. And so I do know that in my family, there are Obia people, and there's a lot of parallels and connections with Ifa, and that spiritual practice from West Africa. But on my other side, I don't know really, what people were doing and how they addressed it. Anyway, Black Gold Movement is a project where we use hip hop to just address any and every issue, that we're seeing arise. And that may be a song, that may be, a set of songs, that may be a gathering, but it's a container, a way for artists of the African diaspora to say and ask themselves and each other, what's going on in your life? What do you see outside of your window? What's going on in your community? And how is that impacting you? How do you see that impacting your loved ones and your community? And then also to be able to say, and how is this connected to these bigger systems of oppression, and to kind of scan from the personal out to the global and the communal, and then articulate that. And I'm gonna just check my notes to make sure I don't ramble too much. Just two more short things before I turn it over. Black Gold Movement's mission is to reverse the flow of resources from the West back to Africa along the transatlantic slave trade routes through hip hop, storytelling, and music of the African diaspora. And we do that through, the oral tradition of music and sharing stories and sharing information, which is resource, and also amplifying one another's solutions, one another's perspectives and experiences. Also the last thing I'll say is that in this age where we can be so connected, yet so far away from each other in the digital world, and in this time, for me as a person of the African diaspora, and for many of us where we're so far removed from where we came from or where we were rooted in, the way that I address these issues is through creating this home. They say home is where the heart is, and Black Gold Movement is like a home. It's like a place for people to come, whether it's digitally or whether we get to actually sit down and collaborate in the studio or in person. And creating that container for community and conversation and healing that really, at least hopefully, helps folks feel connected and not feel isolated, and then feel empowered and amplified. There's so many more things, of course, I want to say, but more than that, I really want to hear from Nikila and from Joe. How is it that you all address art address the issues that you see presently in the present day with your art and your cultural work? And if you want to say anything specific about your artistic practice or your cultural work for folks to get a context beyond the bios that Amira shared. So let's see, we can start with Joe because you haven't had a chance to talk in a minute.
Thanks, Coco. Thank you for that question. So how do we break down systems of oppression in our work? I say our because in my culture, we're a very collectively minded culture. It's not about like the one, it's not about I, it's about us and our community. And so a lot of the work that I do with Audio Pharmacy is definitely like in the spirit of like channeling all of my brothers and sisters who are part of this collective movement and our deepest desires for, you know, not only to be able to share like our creative energies to the world, but really like it's for the liberation of all people. And why is this important? I think that we all want to be free, like the birds and the fish and, you know, all the other beings in this world. Like it's so integral to our spirits to be able to feel like we have the capacity and the ability to make choices and to be able to be sovereign. And so how I move in this world and how I do my work with Audio Pharmacy is to be able to help organize my colleagues and my family, you know, to help them be able to share their voice. Because first and foremost, you know, to be able to speak freely is so it comes from a place of, you know, deep rooted power, right? Like for you to be able to use your voice, to be able to express yourself comes from a place of a deep knowing of who you are, what you want to say, and where you come from. And for folks who have been, you know, historically oppressed by the systems currently in place that we are also dismantling, it's so important that we help make that happen. And so whatever I can do, like on the administrative tip, in terms of like communications and organizations, I do that. But also like in addition to like that kind of like admin work, I also spend a lot of time just like in my relationship building with my community, because I think that in order for us to like feel like safe to be free, we got to like really hold a safe space together. So how do we do that? We do that by like building good relationships, right? And what does that mean? It means showing up with love and showing up in a good way, being honest, and even when things are hard and when what you have to say may not necessarily be like, you know, maybe challenging to like the person or the community that you are speaking to, if you come at it from a place of love, I feel like you're able to really break down a lot of walls. And there's so many things that we need to do on this earth, on our planet, on our mama, to be able to help heal her. And to do that work, we need to be able to talk to each other and listen to each other and really like do the healing work within ourselves so that we can work together to heal our planet. And so that's like that's what like inspires me to do my like very tedious computer work. But also I am very inspired by my, you know, by my community and the work that everyone does, whether it's the artistic or the frontline works. And it has also allowed me to be able to tap into my own creative outlets as well. And maybe one day you might be lucky enough to hear some of my poetry, but we'll see. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now with that question. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on to my sister Nikila.
Thank you. I'm just getting unmute. You can hear me, yeah? Okay. I'm just gonna try to keep this short when we're a little over time on our schedule. So what was the question again? I'm sorry. How did you pose that question?
Yeah, the question is just how do you use your artistic and cultural, you know, practice to address the issues you see presently?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I say I use my art culturally, you know, continuing the preservation of our cultures through storytelling, through visual art, and with that as well, just representing my cultures. I definitely work as a water and land protector through arts activism. I've spent months at Standing Rock on the ground doing media, and I working for digital smoke signals and native renewables. And then I also spent months on the ground doing arts action, helping run the arts tent on Mauna Kea. And I actually just got back right now from late last night. I just got back to back home from a week-long training on Oahu, where, you know, dealing with water issue right now, there has been a fuel leak into the pipelines of some of our water systems on Oahu by the US Navy. And right now we are just, you know, the arts action and activism that I do on that tip, you know, the training that I went through is that basically supporting the representation of the Kanaka Maoli voice with this issue publicly and with the government. So as an artist, I work a lot around how we're going to represent that messaging, how when we do actions, what is the messaging that's going to reach out to the people through signs and such. And then also through campaigns, visual campaigns, creating art that are part of the movement. So, you know, talking about movements with this talk, you know, movements to me, the first thing that comes up are the different movements that we are part of for our communities when we're standing up to something, you know, that certain type of resistance. Well, it's not always resistance, but, you know, these different movements that I'm a part of. And so the other movement I'd say that I'm really passionate about is educational reform, and how, you know, I call it cultural community arts and ecology. And it's really about decolonization and how to create a better way to inform our youth of solid value systems where that bring indigenous, I don't even know if it's a term, but I call it indigenous ecology, into our sciences and into the way that we see the world. Because I feel like the way that I see the world, it's through two lenses. There's the world that I was kind of born into that has been colonized, and there's the world that I ancestrally see through that is guided by my ancestors. And so I'm trying to create curricula and just awareness around, like, it's time for us to reform our educational institutions for the future of the planet and for humanity and all of our other four-legged, winged ones, you know, that we are in relationship with here. So I'll leave it at that. Yeah. That wasn't so short and sweet, sorry. But right now we are at 2:40 p.m. just to put it out there. We wanted to do some interactive writing and breakout room exercises. I don't know how you guys want to go about it, because right now we should have been at breakout rooms. So Joe, I'm going to leave that up to you because this is your time.
I think I am totally good with giving space to our Ria fam here to be able to reflect within themselves some of the questions, and then after that share with each other. I think that that'd be a good idea. Coco, do you agree? Are you good with that?
Yeah. Yep. We had so many really juicy things planned for you. But I think that the breakout rooms will be lovely as well.
So maybe we can just kind of clarify, like, the two main points of what that they can reflect on with each other, and that we're going to be broken up into groups of two. And Joe, do you want to share what those two topics are again, just to...
Sure. So it's going to be specifically what we've been talking about right now, which is what are the issues and what are the issues and challenges that you are interfacing with in your communities, and how does your creativity, because part of this talk that we're sharing is we believe that everyone is an artist, and we have the ability to tap into our creative energy to express ourselves and to do the work that we do in very innovative ways. And so I'll put the question in the chat, and if you guys just want to take a moment to dive in and write it down and share with yourself and then with your partner, that would be really awesome. All right, so I'm just going to reintroduce myself. Again, my name is Love Speak, and I am currently in Lisbon, Portugal, but I am originally born in the islands colonially known as the Philippines. And I also dwell currently in Lijan Ohlone territory on Huichin, which is Oakland, California. And today I'm going to share a little bit about what I do as womb manager for audio pharmacy prescriptions and how I endeavor to decolonize the future with our heart work. And so I wanted to start off by sharing a quote by the late, great Bell Hooks. And this is a quote that's really helped to guide me in my life. And that quote is, "It is essential to our struggle for self-determination that we speak of love. For love is the necessary foundation enabling us to survive the wars, the hardships, the sickness, and the dying with our spirits intact. It is love that allows us to survive whole." And so, as I mentioned earlier, I'm in Lisbon right now, and I'm currently holding space for a special trip with both my family as well as my band Audio Pharmacy. And it's been quite a journey, very fulfilling, but also with so much emotion and different types of experiences that are really how do you say this, helping me to really understand why we're here and why we're doing this work. And I wanted to also acknowledge that yesterday was Indigenous Peoples Day, and it's the first time, where I was not on Turtle Island to hold space and to grieve and as well as celebrate with my community. And so I was here with my brother Ras Kadi and my husband Tio Sense, and we were, doing all of our individual kind of like things that we were doing, like in terms of work. And it was really, it was very powerful in different ways to kind of like see how we were all kind of like moving with this reality that we are in a place where a lot of people, a lot of Indigenous people have suffered and have been oppressed and have died, under the hands of colonization. And so it was an experience that was kind of like a combination of like grieving all the lives lost due to colonization and the greed and the lack of leading with our hearts. But it was also an opportunity for us to be able to celebrate what we were doing here. And so part of what we do at Audio Pharmacy Prescriptions, aside from, sharing the music and being able to express the challenges, in our communities and in our personal lives, is to really lead with love. And so our movement is really like rooted in this philosophy that in order for us to be able to like do any sort of healing work, we need to stop the hate and we need to be able to like tap into the energy of love. Love is the only thing, I believe, I'll speak on that personally, love is the only thing that's going to be able to help us survive all of the atrocities, past, present, and future, and will help us to be able to compost any of the pain and the suffering that we have inside of us, and bring us back into a space of wholeness so that we can come together and do the work that we need to do. And so when we like are coming together and creating music, a lot of this is like channeled by spirit through each person. Everyone has their own process in this, as well as myself. And what I've been able to, humbly and gratefully have the privilege of being able to witness in being with these amazing, phenomenal artists is their ability to speak on some of the most challenging of issues, in our world, and to do it in a way that comes through sonically with so much like positive vibration that like it kind of like compels people to stay and listen and to be able to be present with the person, with the human, with the spirit that is there sharing this really heavy experience, whether it's from their personal or from their people. And I'm being told I only have 1 minute left. But what I wanted to share, in terms of solutions, is that art and creativity has a very special way of allowing us to be able to like tap into the things that have caused us some of the most deepest of pains, and wounds, and allows us to release them, whether it's through writing, whether it's through movement, or whether, in my case, in organizing and creating events and bringing people together so that we can weave within each other's energies so that we can um, you know move forward with whatever it is our goals are in mind. But the importance of being able to understand that we have to work with learning to love ourselves, because we're learning to love ourselves because we have been taught not to, is so, it's just so integral to our ability to be able to understand and see the love in someone else. It's kind of like being able to see the divine in others, or the divine in all of the things in our lives. As a person who has experienced, colonization, that is something that was very difficult for me, to be able to love myself and to be able to understand that I am worthy of love. And once I started tapping into that, it is that work that has allowed me to feel, little by little, day by day, step by step, more whole. And the more whole we are, the more we're able to really be present and show up with love. And so I had more things to say, but I do want to end it with one thing. And this was actually a quote that my mentor, Ate Holly Kalika, and I think she might be here in the space with us. We met actually earlier today, and she had so much wisdom about this specific topic on decolonizing the future with our heart work. And she wanted to share with me words from one of her mentors, which is Grandpa Babe. And it was, the word is Inalom Kotni. Inalom Kotni. And what that means is that while we must leave now, with you, I leave my heart. And with me, I have your heart as well. And so as we end this Ripple Talk, I just want to let y'all know that I will be carrying you all in my heart, and I will, just hold you in the warmth of it. And I am so grateful for this opportunity to be able to share space with each and every one of you, especially my sisters Nikila and Coco, whom, man, we had some sessions the last couple of days, and it's been so beautiful. Thank you, Leah, for bringing us together. Thank you, Coco, Nikila, for all the inspiring heart work that y'all are doing, and for allowing me the opportunity to listen and to learn from both of you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic to each of you guys, if you guys want to say thank you and say goodbye as well.
Okay, I guess I'll go. Thank you everyone so much for joining us, trying to put everything into a nutshell. And I just want to leave you all with just a little bit of inspiration. And like we were saying, that, everyone has that artist inside of them. And I'm pretty sure that most people that have come to this workshop have come because there's deep things in your community that you care about, and there's things that you care about in the world. And just to plant this seed of innovation and to tap into your creativity, when you leave this space and you walk back into your own realities on your own, what are some of the innovative ways that you can contribute to your community? And I encourage you, if you want to write about it, meditate about it, call in your ancestors and guides and ask about it. That right now we're at a time where we just need innovation to address the issues going on in the world. So I'll leave you with that. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Daniela, Kia, Amira, Melinda. Coco, Joe.
Yeah, thank you all so much for being here with us and for the work that you are doing, have done, will continue to do in all the lives that you've touched and inspired. And yeah, thank you so much to Nikila and Joe, and to Wia for bringing us together. I definitely have learned so much, just getting to participate in this. And I'll just say, just echoing Nikila and Joe, just that, you know, we often think about being artists or being activists or being organizers as like different things. But I always love that Tony Cade Bambara quote about, you know, the artist's role is to make the revolution irresistible, and just knowing that, you know, whether or not you paint or you garden or you cook or you make your home beautiful or you you're the connective tissue between the folks that you're organizing and mobilizing, whatever your practice is, that it is art. Like I said, I'm just echoing my sisters, and yeah, and just to affirm you all as artists, and in taking up any type of art form that brings you medicine so that you can be sustained in this work that you're doing. That's it.
Thank you so much. I'm going to jump in here myself to close us out and to just celebrate the incredible words and wisdom that we all got to experience today with Coco and Love Speak and Nikila, and to name that, you know, art and music, I don't know about, I think it carries all of us through, you know, in our dark moments when we're looking at something beautiful, listening to a song, reading a poem, maybe writing one, singing one. Like, this work is absolutely integral to the future of our planet, to climate justice, to racial justice, to economic justice. Every version of equity that we're all seeking to achieve in our lives is lifted and woven together by this incredible tapestry of artists in our world. So I encourage all of us to just continue to lift up the arts and really name its crucial place in our movements, as we talk so much about protecting the earth and the climate emergency and all of the impact numbers that are coming to our ears through the news each and every day. These songs and images that remind us of what's possible in this life are so crucial to our survival on this planet. And so I encourage each and every one of you to check out the unbelievable art of Mama Wisdom and Audio Pharmacy and Joe, and of the Black Gold movement and some of Coco's incredible works. And take it and follow them and share it, because this is our survival, and this is the love in our hearts that's fusing together. So thank you to all three of you and everyone you touch and reach. Some information about what's next up with our colleague Casey Camp on Tuesday from 4 to 5. So I hope we'll see you all there. And thank you so much for taking your precious time to be together today. May this be the first or of many, many more.